When we first started, okay, I mentioned this is the advanced training. The advanced training means that we're not going to spoon feed you. We're not just going to give you, right, Barbara, this is the first step, this is the second step, this is, you know, that's just like prescriptive, because then what happens is Barbara's got to go out in the real world, and what she is required to do is to use her mental faculties, to use the law of reciprocation to holistically outwork the plan in a bespoke way for her, which will not work for Gunther in the same way. You know, you are the universe. Your unconscious mind is the universe. I know it sounds a bit out there, but when you get that in your mind, it kind of like, you know, it changes everything. And so we're all at different levels, and that's cool. This is a journey. The journey actually is better than the reward, okay? But you've got to believe in this stuff. Now, you might say, Matt, that's all fine and dandy for you. Well, hey, not really. You know, I've been doing this for 20 odd years, and I've got a long way to go, I can tell you, because when you get to the next level, guess what happens? The next level of possibility opens up, and it's like, whoa, what is this, right? It's one hell of a ride. So we're all beginners. And that's why when we started this on Monday, we spoke about beginner's mind. The minute you stop being a beginner, you've lost the next possibility. It's like, so wherever you are is absolutely cool. Don't be discouraged. Don't be like, oh man, some people are getting this, some people not so much. Your level is perfect for you. But within your level is an invitation to come a little bit further. I'm sending you an invitation to come a little bit further, a little bit further, a little bit further. There are no limits. There are absolutely, glad Barbara's got the intergalactic background, because there's no limits at all. It's just incredible. Like, so you've got to have faith. And this is why this is not a sort of 7-step plan. You know, these 7 pillars are really gateways to whatever you want. But you've got to work with this in a very, very, very holistic way. Okay. So a lot of you in the feedback, you were really struggling because you were saying like the workbook doesn't make sense, and you know, there's no linear process. This is all on purpose. You know, these gaps are to get your unconscious mind out of the way and get your conscious mind out of the way, and get your unconscious mind and your spirit and your being and the energetics and the laws all in action for you. Because if you can experience these laws for yourself, this starts to build your belief, and then your belief will just rocket fire. Yes, Sonia, it'll just rocket fire into, you know, the next level. So many of you said you were struggling. What I thought I would do is just drop in and do a very basic elicitation with one of the members, so that we can get you to elicit your, you know, one of your non-negotiables. Now, we like to work in threes. 3 is a very powerful number. If you know anything about numerology, 3 is the number of creativeness and expression. And even the design of the number 3, it's like number 8 is abundance. Number 8, you can see the energy loops within the 2 circles. Number 3, it's open, so it's expression, you know. Number 5, freedom. You find a lot of rock stars have a lot of 35s in their numerology, because, you know, 3 is the creative expression, it's energy going out. It's not always replenished. And then 5 is a freedom, adventure, entrepreneur sort of thing. So the number 3 is very, very powerful. At the same time, you know, you could have 5 non-negotiables. This is something that is not prescriptive. This is principles. It's like I'm giving you loads of colors and loads of paints, and I'm saying, hey, go and create your own picture. So, you know, you follow the principles, but then you make the principles your own, because these principles are seeds. You've got to plant them. You've got to water them. You've got to grow them. You've got to harvest them and take the seed and replant. Okay. So please don't follow it prescriptively. As I said, many of you were struggling a little bit. So we're going to do a demo, and we're going to utilize Sonia. Really happy that you're here. Thank you to all the people that kind of wrote in, and hey, Tahira, great to see you here as well. Wonderful to see her. She's like the grand master of all this stuff. So, you know, if we get stuck, we'll just put her on and like she'll just whiz you into the next galaxy. Okay. You know, we're going to give you a demo. First of all, what I just want to do is go back to basics. Okay. I only ever ask 3 things from my clients. Okay. Number 1 is to show up. So well done for showing up. Now, when you're achieving, when you're putting the 7 pillars into practice, show up. Within showing up, there is state. Within showing up, there is commitment. Within showing up, there is structure. Within showing up, there is mindset, there is optimization. All the 7 pillars are in showing up. Showing up itself is a very holistic attitude. Okay, it's much more than that, but that's just, in the English language can't actually contain, you know, the word showing up. And most of us don't understand Sanskrit. Maybe someone does, but you know, those languages hold much deeper meaning. Okay, so show up. Okay, be coachable. Most people are not coachable, so be coachable. Okay, and follow instructions. Okay, so Sonia's very kindly agreed, and Sonia is trained by me. You know, she's been trained by other people, of course. She is a client, a mentoring student, but also an equal. You know, she's a very good coach in her own respective right. I would buy coaching from her. Okay, she's fantastic, and I highly recommend her. Okay, you know, a little bit of background on Sonia. You know, she's originally French, Tunisian background. Okay, so she speaks Arabic, French. And she's moved to Spain, so she's very international. Her husband is a world champion water skier, so there's got a professional sports background in there. She was in Dubai for many a year, and you know, training a lot of clients and stuff in Dubai. So she's a very good coach, and I thought it'd be quite nice to use her as the demo because she's kind of gone through the process. So Sonia, are you okay? You feeling a bit better today?
Yes.
Good.
Good. Yes.
Plenty of ginger for you, you know, if you're feeling a little bit, get that fire, you know, going. And, you know, just for everybody that's here on the call, we're going to do this in a very relaxed way. You might do this in a different way. It's the principles, the energy that you want to be tuned into. You've got to make this your own. So you don't have to use the same words I'm using. You could divert from the process if you wanted to. It's really, you know, making it your own. Okay.
Yep.
And the best way is just to relax into it. So Sonia has already done her 3 non-negotiables for next year, 2021. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to elicit another one. So we've got something fresh to work with. Okay. So the first thing I'm going to do is to Sonia is we're going to get her into state, because without state, okay, we are working with the wrong bit of Sonia, if you like. Now that doesn't really make sense because Sonia's holistic, but we want to be working with Sonia's whole, you know, and Sonia hasn't been feeling well. So, you know, really grateful to her for playing full out. So we definitely want to get Sonia into state. Okay. Is that okay, Sonia?
Yes.
Good.
More than ready.
How are you feeling right now?
Yeah, it's good. Very good.
Great.
I've been sick for the past few days. My son gave me his flu, actually.
He gave you
yeah,
flu.
let's
Okay.
have fun. Let's have a family flu, I would say.
Hey,
so yeah,
you know,
getting better, slowly, but getting better.
No, I'm glad to hear that. So, what I want you to do, Sonia, is just visualize
Yes.
you playing really full out
Okay.
in this demonstration, which is not just a demonstration, but it's a real exercise to create a non-negotiable for you. Okay.
Okay.
And I'd just like to see you just really visualize that and just take all the energy that you require and take all the ingredients and anything you want really that you may require for this. And if you want, you could float up to your timeline and just go into the future a little bit with your active imagination. And you could potentially see some things or feel some things that may be relevant. And you can add whatever you want into the mix. That's right. That's right. And just notice how, as you start to add things to the mix, it becomes more compelling. That's right. And in a moment, Sonia, I want you just to float back down into the room, only as quickly as you're able to sync the changes at an unconscious level, and open your eyes. Excellent. Good. Good, good, good. I wish I could speak French. I'd love to do this in French. July is, you know, that'd be pretty cool. Right? Be pretty cool. So Sonia, now what I want you to do, if you're comfortable enough to do it,
Yes.
okay, I'd like you just to step out of your chair, but in a way that we could still see you, if that's possible, yes, where you are right now. Maybe step to the side, something like this. Excellent. How many offices do you have?
Only one.
Your home? Okay, it looks so different today. It's like you've got like 5 offices in there or something.
No, only one big room.
Okay, yeah, pretty cool, right? So Sonia, what I want you to do just now, and again, just using your active imagination, because your active imagination is really powerful. Now, for everybody that's watching, you know, we're using state, mindset, of everything, but state and mindset especially. And what I'd love you to do, Sonia, just right there, just have a look at your chair, if you would, and just see yourself in the chair. Just looking through your own eyes, just see yourself in the chair. And as you look in the chair, I just want you to start, you know, adding anything in the chair that you may require. It's really powerful. Really powerful, yeah. And just add anything you want. It may not even be relevant. It might just spring to mind. Just add it in there. Good.
Done.
And just with your sort of unconscious remote control, just turn up any of the feelings, any of the visuals, and just see yourself in the chair. Great. Just keep adding. Keep adding. That's right. And just make it more compelling. Make the colors more compelling, make the visuals more compelling. That's right. And in a moment, only when you're ready, I'm going to ask you to sit in the chair. Excellent. Only when you're ready. That's right.
Okay.
Great. Excellent. And as you sit in the chair, just sort of calibrate the state. Calibrate the state. That's right. And calibrating the state is different for everyone, but it's like, you know, 1 could be, you know, not everything that is there that is useful. 10 could be absolutely useful. So calibrate where you are and just add anything that needs to be added so that you can turn that right up. Right up.
I'm done. I'm done.
Excellent. Good. Good. How do you feel?
Much better.
Do you notice that flu doesn't exist in this state?
Yeah.
There's no illness in this state. Excellent. Excellent. There's no illness, is there? It's like it doesn't exist.
Yeah. All good. All good.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Good. Good, good, good. So let's get to work, okay? You're energizing me now, and that's really, really cool.
Me too. That projecting things in the chair really bring me energized, actually. I just recharged my batteries.
Excellent. Very, very good.
Yeah.
So the first thing we're going to do, guys, is we're going to go in our workbook, and we're going to cut and paste a bit because we can't do the whole process again. We're going to go to page 11 in your workbook, okay? Page 11, okay? And in page 11, the first thing it says is write a list of 5 for each sector. So, Sonia, I don't want you to do this, but if anyone wants to use the workbook, you can look at the workbook. And of course, we know we've got the different categories. So you've got business and career, you've got wealth and money, you've got family, you've got health and fitness, you know, your intimate relationships, spirituality, hobbies and fun, personal development. Now, you can add more. So some of my stuff comes under hobbies and fun and personal development. Okay, you can, this is not prescriptive. This is like principles. So for example, for some people, wealth and money might be separate. For others, it's together. You know, for some people, health might be separate from fitness. Okay, but you can add other ones as well. So, but these are generalized areas. Okay, they're generalized areas. Okay. So we're not going to do all three, obviously, because we just want to do one for the demo. But what you would do is the first thing you would do, you would write 5 pieces for each sector. Okay. And then you're going to choose one goal for each sector. Now you're going to choose 3 to work on to begin with. But Sonia's already done this. So we're going to choose a fresh one. So Sonia, which 3 areas are your non-negotiables in?
Will be related kind of business and career, I would say.
Okay.
And it's I think I told you a few times. I love language, and I want this year to learn 2 new languages. Related. One is, of course, Arabic, even because it's coming from my roots, and the second one is Chinese.
Chinese. Okay. Great.
Yeah.
Great.
And yes, go ahead, please.
And the third one? Is there a third?
It was a third, to be honest. It was a third,
Okay.
which is Russian. And
Russian.
I just put on hold for now.
Just so you know, Gunter's got a Black Friday deal on Russian if you're interested. She only takes Bitcoin.
I love that.
There you go, Gunter, got your client. So, okay. And so what you would do is you'd write 5, things. So I'm going to give you an example, and Sonia being really kind, playing with me here. One of mine is Portuguese. Okay. That comes under, for me, hobbies and personal development. And then what I've written is in my hobbies and personal development, I've got 5 pieces that I'd like to work on. The first one is Portuguese. Second one is martial arts. The third one is my health club. The fourth one is business training, and the 5th one is travel. So what I've done now is I've written a list of 5 things I want to achieve in that sector. So the first thing you're going to do is you're going to choose 3 areas. So for me, it's business and career. It's wealth and money. It's health and fitness. Okay. And then it's hobbies and fun, which for me marries up with personal development. Okay. So I've got my 3 areas. I'm then taking each of those 3 areas and I'm writing 5 areas within those areas. So for me, in hobbies and personal development, I've got Portuguese, martial arts, health club, business travel, and travel. Okay. That's really important. Okay. But you've got all of those. So now what I'm going to do is choose one. So on your sheet, page 11, it says choose one for each goal sector. We're only doing one. So for me, in that list of 5, it's going to be Portuguese. Now, the trick is don't just go with the one that stands out. So for me, when I was doing it in rough, Portuguese is the first one there. That's a bit of a clue, right? First thing on my mind. But don't just go with that. You want to test it. You want to really get into it. You want to make sure that it's, that it's there. That's very, very important. Ritu, great to have you here. Always very happy when Ritu joins us. So you want to make sure you got your 5 down. Okay. Now, the next thing is to choose one for each goal sector. So in this demo, Sonia, as you return to the state that you really want to perform the demo in, okay, have you got the list of 5?
Yeah.
Okay. And would you be able to name them for us?
Yeah, well, I got the language, which is, as I said before, the Arabic and Chinese. Okay. Actually, I really divide again through the language, travel.
Okay, I'm going to stop you for a moment, Coach.
Yes.
What I'm going to do is I'm going to ask you, what area does the language fit under?
For me, it fits in two places: business, also hobbies, which is and personal development. It is also related to my roots, as I said.
Yes.
Also because Chinese for two reasons. Again, for business and also for my kids, because I want to take my kids in the future to China. I want to take them to Kung Fu actually school.
Okay. Well, do write to me when you do that, because I'm very friendly with a couple of masters who.
Oh yes.
And even Martin, who spoke on.
Yeah. Okay.
He goes to China every year and trains.
Oh wow. Okay. Very interesting.
Yeah. So we'll steer you in the right direction. Now here's the thing. Sonia's got a goal or a non-negotiable that fits under a couple of areas. That's very normal, because some of those areas are her values, which we'll come to. So she wants to learn Chinese, she speaks a bit of it. She wants to perfect her Arabic, she speaks Arabic, but Tunisian. She wants to learn the Gulf style Arabic, That's right, Gulf style, yeah. So she wants to perfect that, okay. And these goals for her, they fit under family, they fit under business, they fit under hobbies and fun. So don't get confused on that. Some of them might be values, some of them might be, her potential in those areas may fit into a few, different categories. Okay. Yeah. So what we're going to do is we're going to marry up on this one, okay? Business and hobbies and fun. Is that okay for you?
Yes.
Okay. So she's working this goal in the arena of business and hobbies and fun. Okay. Now, I want five, pieces in hobbies and fun and business. So you've got languages. What else you got?
I've got
in hobbies travel. And fun and business. Travel, excellent.
Travel, because it's also a leisure for me.
Yeah.
Again, related to the same goal, which is the language. Hobbies, again, Kung Fu, because I love Kung Fu.
Kung Fu, yeah.
Okay. And in terms of business, I will say meet new clients.
Meet new clients.
In Asia.
Okay.
In Asia.
Yeah.
A bit more also in the Gulf.
In the Gulf.
Because yes. Again with the Arabic and how many did I say? Leisure. I said travel.
Kung Fu.
I said Kung Fu. Business related because meeting clients.
Yep.
Also for my personal development, again, because it's my roots related to Arabic. I want to share this with my kids.
Yes.
And the fifth one could be in terms of hobbies or personal development is being fluent.
Sorry?
Being fluent in my language.
Okay.
Feeling comfortable when I communicate with anyone, and the way I do in Spanish.
Okay. That's really good. Really, really good. Okay. Now, no buts. No buts. The only but we got is Kim Kardashian. Okay, but we're gonna leave that there. You gotta have a laugh, guys. You gotta have a laugh. You gotta have a sense of humor. If you want to roll with us, you gotta have a sense of humor. Okay. And look at her state. So if you're a coach and you're working with clients, humor is a power tool. I'm telling you now. If you're selling, humor is a power tool. Okay. And so you've got to use appropriate, obviously, humor is very, very important. And also be culturally aware, because what might be humorous in the UK can be highly offensive somewhere else. As a general rule of thumb, it usually is. Okay, so be culturally aware. Okay. Now, just a note for the delegates and for you, Sonia. There were some of those pieces which were not strictly a list of 5 for each sector. So, for example, the last one that Sonia gave us, fluency, that's more part of the structure of the non-negotiable. But it actually doesn't matter, because the key here is to get her mind thinking. Or if you're doing it for yourself, you don't have to get it 100% right. That's the beauty of it. Remember, this is holistic stuff. So it's to get the mind thinking, open the trap door, etc., etc. So if I was working with Sonia as a client, I've really got enough there to move her to the next stage. And the next stage is really simple. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to just say to Sonia, so Sonia, out of all of those 5 pieces of this potential non-negotiable, which one is the absolute priority? And then obviously if I'm a coach, I'm going to feed back, you know, is it travel? Is it fluency, conversational fluency in the language? Is it kung fu? Is it getting clients? And I'm even going to repeat the one that isn't really relevant. Or is it, for example, I can't remember what the last one was, but whatever it was, okay? And you're going to make sure you're in state. So like I'm watching my client's physiology right now, and I'm just watching her go into state. State is key. If you want to create a quality non-negotiable, you've got to be in state. If you want to create anything, you've got to be in state. It's as simple as that. This is a performance sport. So Sonia, if I was to ask you again, what's the priority in that group of 5? What would you say is the priority for you right now, right then?
Business.
Business. Okay.
Yep.
Great. 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 So you see how we've gone now from a language goal to a business goal. Now I'm going to test that because I'm going to say, well, how does that fit into fun and hobbies? Just while you're thinking about that, Sonia, Lucy, no, you don't have to write them. It's just really for you to see the demo, and obviously you'll get a recording of the demo as well. But if you're feeling really strongly, it's helpful for you to write down your own, do it for sure. But you don't have to. It's really a case just to experience the demo. Thanks, Lucy. So Sonia, for you, in terms of this language goal that fits in business and it fits into hobbies and fun, what's the most important priority of those 5?
Business, yeah.
Business. And I'm just going to check that. Business for what purpose?
Bring clients.
To bring clients. So what she's doing now is she's giving her values in a hierarchical order, which is another thing. So what I'm going to do as a coach, I'm just going to zip back in and say, so would you like to create a language goal for the purposes of business?
Yes.
Now, just so you know, guys, obviously I do this. I've been doing this for a long time, okay? You've got to understand that when your client's working with their unconscious mind, they can go anywhere, and they can often marry up their values, which are what's important to them, which we'll come to in a minute, with the pieces of the non-negotiable, which Sonia kind of did. And what you have to do is kind of realign them back to the original, intention. Okay, simple as that. Okay, if you're doing this with yourself, it's actually a lot easier because, you've got your list of general areas of your life, like business, and you're going to choose, 5 things in each of it, and then you're just going to choose the most important one. So it's actually easier when you're on your own. Okay, but I've got to teach you how to do this. So, okay, so we've got language. Now, again, Sonia, being Sonia, real go-getter, she's got 3 languages she's learning at one time. She's Arabic, Chinese. You pick the hardest ones too. I know Arabic's probably a simple thing for you, but Arabic, Chinese, Russian. You want to add Japanese to that list as well?
Yes, but this will come later.
So Sonia's a real go-getter. I mean, there's no limits for Sonia. She's just out there, okay? Wonderful. So in terms of those 4 languages now, Chinese, Arabic, and Chinese, Arabic, and Japanese and Russian. And Adarsh very kindly has chucked in some. I think he's got Black Friday on Hindi and Gujarati lessons. Kemcho bhai. Okay, so that's as far as my Gujarati goes. But anyway, which one is most important for you in those languages?
I will say 2. But right now I will say Arabic.
Arabic, okay. Now again, Sonia's got 2 she really wants, okay? That's absolutely fine. But what you're going to do is you're going to play a little game. If your client or yourself are going, I want this and I want this and I want this, okay? Remember, to some extent, achievement is about focus, and it's about sacrificing disfocus or distraction to achieve, okay? So you sometimes have to park stuff to focus on, you know, Sonia's a mum, you know, she runs a business with her husband, she's got a coaching practice, she's, you know, got 1,000,001 things to do, you know, so she's kind of got to focus. Otherwise, what happens, with great respect to Sonia, she will become, you know, jack of all trades, and really mastery will take some time. Okay, but that's a personal decision you've got to make. Okay, so you ask this question to yourself or to your client. So Sonia, if I was like the cruelest person in the world, and everyone's thinking Donald Trump, go on. But we better be more politically correct, and we'll say Boris Johnson. Okay. So if I was Boris Johnson and I hadn't combed my hair today, okay, and I said you're only allowed 1, which one would you take?
Arabic.
Ah, there you go. Now, did you hear her tonality? Arabic.
Yeah.
She wasn't like going, I'm going to take 10 days to meditate and think about it. Yeah, it was like direct from the unconscious, no thought needed. You can always tell when the unconscious is speaking, because the unconscious doesn't need to process. The unconscious go, boom, and it's there. Manifestation is instant. But as human beings that have gone through the Western educational system mainly, we tend to stuff it up a little bit. So we are unstuffing it up, okay? Now, we've got Arabic. We now have a woman, a powerful woman, with a powerful non-negotiable, okay, outcome for 2021. It's Arabic. Now what we're going to do is we're going to ask her a question, which is on page 11, because we check it. So we've got Arabic. We're now going to go, very simple question, why Arabic?
My roots?
Her roots.
If I go back to business, living,
Yeah.
I mean, 10 years in the UAE,
Yeah.
I understand the mindset, and and it's time to go back. I will say to meet some clients.
Good.
I'm waiting for there.
Yeah, that'd be good. That'd be really cool.
Yeah.
Yes, I got several invites to Dubai.
Yeah, and I will say, Evan, is I can definitely utilize my roots.
Yes.
And actually, my main target is really to have local Emiratis clients. My main target.
Great. Excellent. I love it. Absolutely love it. Absolutely love it. So now we've got why that one. We're starting to work with her values. Values are just what's important to you. Now you might say, Matt, so what? Well, here's the thing. Your values are your strongest drivers that you have. So the values are very important, because if your goal is not aligned to your values, it's like driving a car with no juice in it. You're not going to get anywhere, right? Your values are very, very important. If you don't believe me, step on somebody's values and watch what happens. This is why when we do business internationally, we learn the culture first, because it's very easy, if you don't know the culture, to step on values. And the values are very, very, very important. I've got a lot of Latvian clients, friends, business partners. And a few years ago, to our shame, a drunk British man, he urinated on the Freedom Monument in Riga. They nearly killed him. He actually, I mean, the police gave him a good hiding, but he was actually lucky. The Latvians would have killed him. Now, he's a Brit from Blackpool or whatever. I mean, it's disgusting behavior, but because he doesn't understand the consequences of that type, that is like the worst thing you can do to a Latvian is disrespect their freedom monument. And he would have been killed by the public if the police hadn't taken him. He'll probably be banned from Latvia for the rest of his life. So the values are very, very, very key. Okay, very, very key. So we're opening up our values. Now we're going to go a little further. We do it in a structured way. So now, Sonia, I'm going to say, why not Japanese, Russian, Chinese, Hindi, Gujarati? I think Ilva's got a Black Friday deal on Latvian,
Well, I will say,
Russian
it's not that I call it.
Russian, okay. You're a Russian Latvian. Okay, I didn't know. Okay, great, Russian. Понимаете по-русски?
Да, понимаю. А ты?
Говори.
Я понимаю, да.
Okay, I like to have fun. So, but you can see how I hardly know anything in Russian, but I just opened, look at, Ilva's face, how happy she is to hear some crazy foreigner speaking in her language, right? She's so happy. You see, Sonia is absolutely right. It opens the door. It really opens the door, because what's happening is you're connecting with the roots. You're connecting with the identity. You're connecting with the values. You do this in sales, it opens so many doors, it really does. So Sonia, what I want to ask you now is, why not Russian? We've been a little bit unfair because we've got Ilva's smiling face now here. Spasiba. We got her face, and she's probably thinking of all Russian now. So Sonia, back to Dubai, back to shawarma, back to the majlis, back to the sun, back to the Arabs, back to falafel. Yeah, look, she's gone now. We got her tied up.
I'm there.
So she's with the falafel. The falafel got her. So if you ever want to sell Sonia anything, invite her for falafel.
Yeah, we have to speak the same language.
Okay, so why not Chinese, Japanese? We're just checking in now on the values.
It's not. I will say my main priority is to my roots. So my roots right now is Arab. It's Arabic.
I love it. See, Sonia's roots are very important to her. And from a coaching perspective, if you look at the hierarchy, okay, of the hierarchy of coaching values, okay, identity is the strongest value there is. It's the deepest structure, and it's the strongest structure. The reason why a lot of people don't succeed in life to the level of their potential is because at some level their identity is broken. Identity is very powerful, and identity can be perception as well. So it's not always real, it's perceived identity. Okay. So we've got her really, but we've got the right one. We've absolutely got the right one. Okay. So that is really page 11, which is your non-negotiables. Okay. Now, I want you to go to page 5, which was a little bit before. And one way of getting the areas is to ask yourself the question, what is not yet perfect in the area of fun and hobbies? What is not yet perfect in the area of health? What is not yet perfect in the area of business? What is not yet perfect in the area of intimate relationship? what is not yet perfect in the area of, wealth and investing? What is not yet perfect? And you're going to write that down. But what you can do is you could use this to get your 5 once you've got the area. You could even use this now. So I could say to Sonia, we've got a non-negotiable. I could now say to her, so Sonia, what is not yet perfect in the area of speaking Arabic? What is not yet perfect? And
sorry, I thought I had to answer.
Please. Yeah, please,
yeah.
Please.
What is not perfect is my I will say the word decision.
Okay, so that's commitment.
Why I said this word? Yeah, yes, exactly. That's the commitment. I started. Actually, I started several times back when I was in Dubai. Recently again, and I just procrastinate. That's the thing.
Okay.
And I have that blockage in myself.
Yeah.
When I speak with someone in Arabic, automatically, because I know the person in front of me speak another language, maybe in English or even in French or even in Spanish, I will go for that one.
Okay.
Because I feel more comfortable.
Great. So you can start to see that Sonia's getting clear about why this is important. Values are all about why this is important. The other thing I want you to understand is that this book is not written in a linear way. This workbook is just a workbook to help you, okay? You've got to be clear and specific about your outcome. You've got to have clear values around your outcome. And you've really, really got to be clear about why this is a priority, okay? The reason you maybe don't have stuff you want in your life is very simple. It's because you're not specific, clear, and focused on what you want. It's as simple as that. You get crystal clarity clear, you will get what you want. And now some people will challenge that. And I've had that in business. And we put that to bed. We put that straight down, okay? Some will say, yeah, Matt, that's all fine and dandy. But, being really clear and being really specific and being really focused, what about the work? Well, let me tell you this. If your values are not aligned to your outcome, if you're not clear about what you want, if you haven't got a specific non-negotiable outcome that's a priority for you, you ain't going to do the work anyway. And if you're clear and specific, I mean crystal clear and specific, so you can shut your eyes and you can pull up that image of exactly what you want and your whole being is aligned to it, you will do the work. Because I'll tell you something, you'll be getting up out of bed at 5 a.m. thinking about the thing. There will be nothing that can stop you. COVID, politics, whatever it is, nothing will stop you, trust me. The reason why you're not doing the work or not feeling motivated is because you're not specific and clear enough. And you're not in state, because you can only be clear when you're in state. You ever had a bad day, even though everything's going really well? Something happened, a traffic warden gave you a ticket and you lost your state. So many people are losing their state this year. It's been a terrible year for many. It's been a great year for others. But if you look back in history, this is nothing. When you consider the famines that human beings have been through, when you consider the wars that people in Syria are in, or various places, I mean, this is nothing. We sit in our leather chairs we drive in nice cars to the supermarket and someone has to queue up and go in with a mask. Whoopie-doo. Like there's people getting bombed to hell out there. It's like, in the grand scheme of things, this is bloody nothing. Right? Seriously, we're so spoiled and so, comfortable in most of the countries that we live in, right? It's just ridiculous, totally ridiculous. That's not to knock the effects of COVID, for people that have suffered from it. It's not to knock that at all. It's just a reality check, okay? So the next part, number 3 on page 5, is what are your values? Now, we already kind of elicited them because at the beginning of the demo, Sonia kind of gave us her values. Now, in order to get the values, all I'm going to do is I'm going to repeat the goal to Sonia. I'm going to say, so Sonia, In terms of getting conversational fluency with Arabic, okay, what is most important to you? That's the value question. Now, as NLP trained master practitioners, we do a whole elicitation here, but basically the question is, for the demo, which is all you really need, the question simply is this: so Sonia, in terms of getting X, what is most important to you? And we're just going to let her roll off the whole thing now. She's already kind of given us that, so we're not going to do that now for time. And then I just go to value 2. So I'll get a list of values, and then I'll just say, so out of all these 10 values, Sonia, and I'll read them out to her, I'll say, which one is the most important to you? If you can only have one, which one would it be? If I took all the others away and I said, you're only having one, which one would it be? And that's value number 1, value number 2, value number 3. And then you're going to ask the satisfaction question. You're going to say, how would you know when value number 1 is fulfilled? How would you know that? Because what we're going to do is we're going to create from this information what I call a SMART F goal. Now, you might have heard of SMART goals. We do something a little bit more sophisticated. And a SMART F goal, which is a non-negotiable, is something that is specific, it's measurable, it's achievable, it's time-bound, and F, it's flexible. Now, the flexible bit relates to recovery and optimization strategies. Okay? There are different versions of SMART, so you will find different versions. Like some people on the A, they say attainable. I actually think achievable is better. Hey, Lucy, good to have you back. I think achievable is better, but you might prefer attainable. Again, you know, you're not replicating exactly what I'm doing. You're making this your own. Very important. Very, very, very important. You're making this your own. Okay. So I'm going to find out from Sonia, when will that be satisfied? When will that be satisfied? When will that be satisfied? And then what we're going to do together is we're going to create a well-formed outcome. So I've got her non-negotiable. I've got her values. I've got her satisfaction criteria. I'm then going to sit with Sonia, or you're going to sit alone, and you're going to work out a well-formed outcome. We don't call them goals, we call them outcomes. All right. Hi, Ritu. Great to see you. You're going to create a well-formed outcome. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to send you an email with one of my goals that is a SMART F goal. And it's written in the present tense. So I'm not going to write, by the end of 2021, I will be speaking conversationally, you know, European certified level B1 Portuguese. I'm not going to write that, because that has as much energetic drive as like nothing. Just a wish on a paper. It's bullshit. Okay. What I'm going to do is I'm going to write, it is Christmas Eve 2021. And as I sit in my beautiful leather chair, listening to elegant Portuguese music, fado, I can feel the soul and the beat and the energy of the Portuguese culture. And as I bite on my pastel de nata, and as I sip my green tea, I start to speak in the beautiful rhythm of the language of Portugal. And as I speak in the beautiful language of Portugal, I look with elegance and pride at my achievements in the certificate of the European language certifications at B1 level. And looking out a few years from now, as I sit in my villa overlooking Cascais, the beautiful harbour, I see Ritu and Sam coming in for a cup of tea, and I greet them in Portuguese. And they greet me back and I say, do you remember when we were talking and when we were creating? See, that is a goal, not this bullshit they teach you on freaking YouTube, right? Okay. Now, sorry to use the, vernacular, but, sometimes you've got to put a bit of energy into what you're doing, right? And that's actually true. When I was doing that well-formed outcome, I was using my unconscious mind. And suddenly, as I was doing my Portuguese, I've got it here on the paper. Sam and Ritu coming for a cup of tea in Cascais. There you go. It's a long way to come, right? But I'm sure you'd enjoy it, okay? And then I've got my villa attached to that. I've got my Portuguese passport, attached to that. I've got a whole load of stuff going on there. But my unconscious mind just threw up Ritu and Sam. That's why I messaged her and said, I hope you're coming, because this was a part of the demo, okay? So your unconscious mind will throw up stuff. It will throw up stuff. Use it, utilize it. Put it into the goal, because what your unconscious mind is doing is it's taking you into your future, and it's creating from your future. Now, when we do the mindset bit, the mindset starts with, we start from the victory. So when we create non-negotiables, outcomes, goals, if you want to call them goals, we're not like, oh, I hope I'm going to do this. No, that's weak. It's crap. We come from the victory. We did sword work for many years in martial arts. When you're drawing a sword on someone, you're not thinking, oh, I hope I, chop his arm off. You're cutting through his head. Now, we keep within the law, but, you train to cut through. I'm not thinking, oh, gosh, he's a big guy. He might beat me up. You've already won. In martial arts, when you're going to hit someone, you don't see the big guy that's 10 times bigger than you. We have visualizations that we see them sinking like sand. We visualize that. When we hit them, we're punching through into their kidneys, creating damage if we want. We're using the mind. The fist is just a messenger. It comes from the mind. Okay. So we come from the victory. Now, on the 5th, we will go into the whole, mindset. Okay. But that was really well done, Sonia. So I will send you all, thank you so much for playing out. I know you haven't been feeling well. I will send you all an email with one of my goals. It won't be the Portuguese one because you've heard that. I'll give you another one. And then your next task for, either your coaching session, which we can do between now and the 5th, or we can do in January, whatever works best for you, you can start to create from your non-negotiables well-formed outcomes. Because as I said before, the only reason you don't have what you want in your life is because you're not specific enough. And your energy, your mindset, your focus is not aligned with your values for what you want. Okay. So the workbook is there for you to use and utilize. Okay. We've shown you how to pull out the non-negotiable. Any questions, you can message me. But what I do want to do is move on to the content. Now, we're going to be here for another hour and 10 minutes. So if you need a break, do you require like a 5-minute break? Or do you just want me to carry on? Because there's a lot of content. And then if you need to go, you go and come back. What works best for you guys? You want a break? Tina wants a break. Sonia wants to keep going. Okay, Sonia's on fire. She's in state, you see. So Lucy's good. She doesn't mind. I think what we'll do, guys, we'll carry on. But those that need to break, you go and break, do what you got to do. Some may need tea, water, whatever. Gunter's saying keep going. So, if you need to go and chip off for 5-10 minutes, go and do it. You're going to get a recording and you should be going through the recordings. I'm not blowing my own trumpet, but we charge like over £1,000 for this stuff. So, show up, but do keep hydrated. And obviously if you need the, the bathroom and stuff, or, you need to grab a sandwich, just deal with it, because you're going to get the recording. So you need to be going through this and going through this and going through this. This is your life. This is important. So are there any questions on that first piece of, forming the non-negotiable? Any questions at all? There's no daft question. It may help others if there's any questions. We use this in sales. So when I was selling 10K deals in 35 minutes over the phone, you know, to cold traffic for the Americans, we used a version of this. And it's a very basic coaching model. So we'd elicit the values, we'd align the values, we'd elicit the wants, we'd elicit the needs. We'd use like anchoring techniques to anchor the desire in the call to move people to buy, right? This is the basis of this, but the coaching is much nicer. Coaching is really nice because you can take time with it, you can create your life. The difference between a fulfilled person and an unfulfilled person is that a fulfilled person is creating their life on purpose. Some of them may not know about goals and stuff, but they're creators. They're creating their life on purpose, okay? So if there's no questions, what I do want to do...
Hi, Matt, I've got a question, sorry.
Sure.
Sorry, I'm just a little bit unclear on the values bit. So the values are always looking back at whatever your outcome is, the values for that, or is it general values which then align back to the holistic way? I'm a
Sure.
little bit,
cool.
little bit unclear, sorry.
Yeah, it's a great question. So basically your values are what's important to you. So why don't you just give me one of your non-negotiables?
Yeah, so one of my non-negotiables, 1 second, page 11, it was, I want to generate more energy within myself, mentally and physically.
Okay, that's great. That's great. So very good intention, very good outcome. Okay. Obviously, what you'd want to do is refine that so that it's a smart F outcome. So it's a little bit more specific. You know, it's measurable, it's achievable. Okay. It's time bound, which I guess for what we're doing is like 2021, but you might want to change that. And also it's going to be flexible as well. So we'd work on that bit. Okay. But what I'm basically going to do is I'm going to say, okay, that's a great outcome, Adarsh.
Yep.
And in terms of that outcome, what's important to you?
It's important that I give myself the best shot at everything I want to do within it. If it's the day or the week or the month, the year, whatever it is, it's important that I don't look back and say, you know, I could have done more, whatever it was.
Okay. So what Adarsh has done is he's given us a value, but it's a value that really sits outside, but yet impacts his goal. So what I'm going to do as coach is, you know, the trick is you don't need like a coaching degree to do this, but the trick is to be specific, okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go back and I'm going to say, hey, Adarsh, that's really good. And specifically, in terms of your intention, your goal, your outcome, to have more energy, and I can't remember what it was exactly, more energy and...
Yeah, generate more energy physically and mentally within myself.
To generate, in terms of your goal, to generate more energy physically and mentally within yourself, what specifically is important to you? Shall I make it easy for you?
Yes.
Okay, because the thing with Adarsh is he's what we call a green. Now, a green means that he's very detail focused, and you find financial consultants, lawyers, accountants, because they're dealing with detail, they tend to overthink a little bit. Okay, is that right?
Yeah, sometimes, yes.
Sometimes, he says. Okay, so they're great people, right? But you know, they tend to think, whereas people like me and Sonia, we're like big visionaries. Whereas Adarsh wants the details. If I said to Adarsh, hey, let's structure a deal, you know, he doesn't want the big picture. He wants the details first before the vision. Am I right?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. I already bought into the big picture in my head. It's more about how we're going to get there, what's going to happen.
There you go.
Yeah.
Whereas with Sonia, I could literally say to Sonia, hey, Sonia, I got this $1 million like coaching deal. I want you to be a part of it. And she's pumped on the vision. Like, she's not even looking at the details. Look at her. She's gone. She's done, you know. Her husband's probably going to go, yeah, let's look at the financials. I think that might be a good idea. Because I from what I know of Sonia's husband, he's more like a Darsh, more into details. I imagine, right? So the thing with the Darsh is he's going to overthink. And we don't want him overthinking, because when he's overthinking, guess what he's using? He's using his conscious mind. And behavioral change happens in the unconscious mind, okay? So what I'm going to do with the Darsh, I'm going to make it easy. Now, how do we make things easy in coaching? We tell people they've got to be children. So Adarsh, I know you were once 4 years old, right? I have evidence of that, I'm sure. Okay, right. So I want you to go back to that, and I want you to just give me one-word answers.
Yeah.
One word. So
Okay.
Adarsh, in terms of your intention, your outcome to create and generate more energy, both physically and mentally, what specifically in one word is important to you?
Don't be lazy.
Okay, he gave me 3 words, but you know, for Adarsh, that is really cool, right? So he's giving me 3 words. Now, one point is whenever you're using the word don't, your unconscious mind doesn't do context. So who's got kids? Like, wave your hands in the air. Okay, you got kids, right? So Sonia, if you tell her, Sonia's sons are like, I think they're like 6 and 7.
6 and 8.
6 and 8, right? There you go. Yeah, Lucy's got a whole tribe of kids, right? Sonia, if your youngest son, if you tell him don't look in the cupboard, what is he gonna do?
The opposite, definitely. It's like teasing him, you know, like, don't do it.
Yeah,
what? You won't tell me to do it? Of course I'm gonna do it.
Lucy will tell you, if she tells her daughters, I stayed with Lucy in Spain. We missed our flight and we had to come and stay at Lucy's place because we were in a hotel near to her. And it was real fun. And her daughters came and woke us up in the morning. And it was such fun, you know. But, you know, they're very trancy and are wonderful kids, right? But if you tell a child, don't drink the milk, guess what? The child wasn't even thinking of the bloody milk, right? But now you've made a suggestion. And the unconscious mind doesn't process negatives. So when you say, don't go to Peckham, Tina, Tina's going to Peckham. We've just given her an embedded command. Now, obviously, Tina's, you know, not a child, but when you say don't. So when I was selling, I mean, this is really naughty, actually. But when I was selling back in the day, not to any of you good guys, but when I was selling back in the day, one of my little things I used to do is the language would get a little bit trancy. And I say, of course, you know, it's important that we wait for you to do the deal at the time. And because you've been in a deep conversation, you start to open the unconscious, and then you just say, but we don't want you to do this if it doesn't make sense for you. And, you know, you're a smart guy, and we've got a lot of other people sort of waiting to do it. So don't do it if it's not right for you, because we don't need the business, but we do like you. And you'd find that little don't is actually an undercover instruction to tell you to do it. You know? Barbara's saying in teacher training, they taught that instead of saying to a child, stop running, exactly, absolutely. You're always going to use the positive, okay? So when Adarsha said to us, thank you, Barbara, for that. You know, when Adarsha said to us, don't be lazy, he's basically, sorry, Adarsh, he's instructing himself to be lazy. Okay, so we want to get that out of the way straight away. So
Sure.
Adarsh,
Yes.
we'll just do one, right? But
Yeah.
to do the example, so specifically, in terms of your goal, your outcome, to create and generate more energy, both mentally and physically, what's important to you? One word.
Achievements.
Achievement. Achievement for what purpose?
Fulfillment.
Oh, nice. Fulfillment. There you go. Now, you don't always have to go for what purpose, but if you've got a high level generalization, achievement, you're going to try and get into the feeling of it. So you're going to drill down by saying for what purpose. And now we've got fulfillment. So we now know that Adarsha's value 1 could be. Now, what you do is you take 3 values and then you say, okay, so I won't do it with you, Dash, for time, but you know, you got fulfillment. Fulfillment is really powerful. Fulfillment is very, very powerful. It's a powerful driver. Okay, look, he's nodding his head, right? It's very, very powerful. Okay. You've got, you know, let's say he's got fulfillment, he's got, you know, health, and let's say he's got vitality in there as well. You know, vitality is good for business. Very yang energy, very energetic, you know. You want, you know, work and achieve, you know, very good energy indeed. You need to understand the yin and the yang a little bit, guys, as well, but we'll get into all of that. Now, we've got his 3 values. I then just say to him, okay, so Adash, we've got fulfillment, we've got vitality, we've got health. If you could only have one, which one would it be? And he'll probably go fulfillment. And then we say, okay, so you got fulfillment. If you could had to choose between health and vitality, which one would you take? You know, those 2 are not really his values, so he's not really going for it. But in the demo, you know, he may say health. Okay, so you got 1, 2, 3.
They sort of are actually, but not quite in those words, but in a roundabout way they are.
but no, thanks for playing full out. But you can see how important it is to do this.
Yes.
Because if he ran with the don't be lazy, which you might say, well, he wouldn't have expressed that if you didn't ask him the question. You're wrong. Because that came from his unconscious mind. So it's in his unconscious mind, and that's one of his drivers. One of his drivers basically in the area of, you know, generating more energy is to be lazy. So you can see how he's always going to self-sabotage and he's going to go around in circles. If we take that driver out, okay, and replace it with another driver, he'll just go and achieve what he wants to achieve. So the patterning for success and for failure is always in the unconscious mind. Okay.
Thank you, Matt, so much.
Yeah, no problem. And we can work on that when we do the coaching call with you. So that's the importance of the coaching calls. Good. So what I'm going to do, guys and gals, is I'm going to ask my beautiful daughter to make me a cup of tea. Okay. Watch this. Darling daughter. Hello. Please don't embarrass me on Zoom. Is anyone there? Hello. I don't think I'm going to get any service today. Hello. Can I have a cup of tea? Maybe not. Maybe not. Maybe not. Okay. 20 quid for a cup of tea. 25.
I'll make it. I'll make it for you, yeah?
Yeah, he's straight on the money, right? You could drink it for me too. Yeah, exactly, Barbara. Caught by my own trap, right? So that is a prime example of what can happen. Look, Tina's straight on the money. I'll make you tea for £100. Okay, so the next step is we want to go into recovery. Now, recovery is really, really important. Okay, so I'm going to just share my screen and I'm going to open the slides and we'll do as much of this as we possibly can. But I really want to get the recovery side. Now, recovery relates to commitment. It relates to structure. Okay. And it relates to all of it, but it's very, very, very key. Can you see my slides, boys and girls? I think you can. Yeah. Excellent. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Actually, let's do it this way. It's going to be easier. And I've just realized I've pulled up the workbook, not the slides. There you go. Okay, so we're going to go to the recovery page. Okay, so we're going to go through some of this and I'm going to give you some strategies. But first of all, what I want to do is kind of explain why this is important. Okay. Let's say that somebody is learning Japanese and, you know, they're running a business. They've got kids to look after. They've got their other significant half, you know, to spend time with. They've got family commitments. They're managing a house. You know, they've got other things they're doing, maybe studies, etc., etc. They've got social time as well. They've got health and fitness, right? Things are going to happen in the year that are going to cause them to get off track. Has anyone, you know, started doing something and then you get off track? Yeah. You know, the classic one is someone's on a diet of some sort and they're doing really well and getting loads of really good achievements. And then suddenly a family party turns up, or they travel and they're sitting in business class and those waitresses, air hostesses keep coming with the food and the drinks and everything else. Or Christmas turns up. It really turns up at the most incredible time of year, okay? And, you know, that, and they go off the wagon. You know, I had a friend of mine who gave up alcohol, you know, for all of this year, okay? And then one day, you know, the pubs opened. You know when Boris opened the pubs in the UK? And he went with his friends to pubs and he fell off the track. Now, the problem is he didn't get back on the track now because he's had a drink, he feels he's failed, and he feels like, you know, he has no recovery. He feels like there's no way back. So when you're creating your goals, there's almost this honeymoon period where it's like, yeah, I'm going back to Kung Fu. Yeah, I'm running a marathon. Yes, I'm, you know, learning Chinese. Yes, you know, Ilva has given me a really good deal on Russian and I'm going to be speaking Russian and I'm going to go to St. Petersburg and, you know, it's going to be fantastic and da, da, da. Ilva's happy, right? And, you know, da, 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 da. Actually, da, 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 you know, but pretty cool, right? And then what happens is I'm doing my Russian and then Ilva decides she wants a break and then I haven't got any Russian to do. And then I lose my books on the train and I'm waiting 2 weeks for the next one to come, or I just get fed up. Or then Sonia says, hey, there's a big deal in Dubai and I'm trying to learn Arabic, you know, for 3 weeks or whatever. And I get, or business happens. Something happens in business and I'm now doing 10 Zooms a day instead of 1, right? It's important you create a recovery strategy. Now, the obvious one is accountability. So if I was to buy Russian training from Ilva, you know, the first thing I'm going to do is want accountability outside of Ilva. Because God forbid, if Ilva gets sick or, you know, if Ilva gets busy in business or Ilva says, Matt, I can't teach you for like a month, you know, I've got this family commitment or whatever, I'm like stuffed. So I want to have accountability with a coach or a mentor or a friend who's on the journey. So accountability is important. I need people in my life that are going to kick my ass. Not people that are going to go, Matt, you're so wonderful, you're so great, you're really achieving everything. I need someone to say, hey, Matt, you know, like, how's the Portuguese going? Hey, Matt, how's your health and fitness going? Hey, Matt, how is your business going? I need people at my level or higher that can kick my butt and are willing to do that. Accountability is the keystone to recovery. One of the reasons I do Portuguese lessons and I have private tutors, and it's very expensive actually, is because I know, you know, I know, when I spend money, I get results because I don't like to waste money. One of my values is that I like to be frugal. So the fact that I bought the books, the fact that I've done all the courses, the coaching, whatever you want to call it, that buys me in, and then I have accountability with my coach. It's very, very key. Now, the main principle I want to teach you today is the day one strategy. Day one. The power of day one. Does anyone know day one? I think Gunter knows it. Gunter was there when we were learning this. I think so. I think Gunter knows it. Day one is very simple. Okay. Day one is understanding that every day is day one. Every single day. And this comes from beginner's mind. I told you this was holistic. So let's say Ilva, you know, she's building a network marketing business. Again, I'm just using as an example, right? She may not be, she may be, you know, but let's say Ilva is building a network marketing business and she's got goals within that business and she wants to recruit like 5 leaders a month. And so she's going to have to talk to a certain number of people to achieve that. And let's say for 90 days, she's blasting, making connections, creating conversations, inviting to webinars, you know, sending messages, dun. She's doing all of that. And then maybe she's not getting anyone to come to her calls, or maybe she's got 2 people and they're wasting her time and then trying to pitch her on something else. No, and that happens in the life of a network marketer, unfortunately, right? And she could get very down with that. She could get to a point where she goes, I'm tired from work. This is just, you know. Now, she's got accountability. But what if she had a day one strategy where she gets fed up with it one day and she just goes, you know what, I need time out for a week, or I need time out for a few days. It's very easy to take time out and never come back. But if she understands the principle of day one, every day is day one. So you might be on a 90-day blast, but guess what? Every day is day one. So if she messes up on the Thursday, she comes back on the Monday, there's no guilt, there's no shame, there's no failure. It's day one. Day one is a powerful strategy. It's a powerful principle. It was taught to me by a gentleman personally who owns a ski resort out in the US. Can't remember exactly where. He actually lives in Utah, but the ski resort isn't in Utah. But he basically taught me this. Now he's a multi-millionaire. Some of you know him. His name is Rick Robery. That was in Wealth Generators. I had a lot of personal time with him. I used to drive him around when he was in the UK. He's like a 60-year-old guy. He's been in a lot of business. But he taught the day one strategy. He said it's the most important thing in achievement is day one. The next piece is accountability. Any questions on day one at all? No questions? Let me just check the chat. There is a little bit of chat here. Great. Oh, excellent, Adosh. Excellent. I actually had 5 months. I don't really drink, just a bit of wine at home. But I had 5 months off. But I did enjoy a glass or 2 over the weekend of very nice wine, actually. Very nice wine. But anyway, here we go. So the next thing is accountability. If you don't have accountability in your life, you will not achieve your potential. If you have accountability in your life, you will achieve your potential. It's as simple as that. Accountability is key. If I get you clear and specific, and I get you accountable, you will achieve more than you presently can even think about. If you start using all of these principles, these 7 pillars in a holistic way, and you start aligning your values and your energy and working with the laws, like the law of reciprocation. Okay, if you start working with these very powerful laws, you will achieve much, much more than you ever think you can. It's just the way it works, okay? Now, the Habakkuk principle, again, we've taken this from the Old Testament, but it doesn't have to have any religious connotations. You know, most personal development has come from the ancient scriptures, whether they be the Judeo-Christian scriptures, whether they be, you know, the ancient Vedic scriptures, the Taoist, you know, they're full of it. They're absolutely full of gold. You know, in the Old Testament, it says in the Proverbs, you know, there's nothing new under the sun. So when you see this high level personal development, most of it, in fact, all of it has come from the ancient scriptures of various traditions, okay? And so this is really powerful. And I want to go through this with you a little bit. What is here? Okay. Habakkuk, verse 2.2. Now, Habakkuk was an Old Testament Jewish prophet, okay? And the Old Testament is quite interesting because, you know, Christians draw from it, Jews draw from it, but Muslims also draw from it too. So, you know, you've got three world faiths that really draw from this. But for me, these are interchangeable. You know, they really are universal. Okay. So you don't have to ascribe to any religious connotations. And it just says, and the Lord answered me and said, write the vision and make it plain upon tables. Now, it doesn't mean your dining table or your office table, but these tables were tablets of stone in those days. So you've got to kind of see the context. And it says, that he may run that readeth it. Now, this is a powerful, powerful piece. And the scriptures, they're not written literally. They are metaphysical. There is energy in those scriptures. There's power in those scriptures. Just like if you go in the Vedic scriptures, when they read it in Sanskrit, it brings the actual energy of the universe into those words in Sanskrit. If I had my time again, I'd literally go to India for 5 years. I'd learn Sanskrit. There's so much in there. I mean, there's worlds of possibility in each word. And it's the same for all the scriptures. You know, we're not just picking out, you know. So you could read this and you could say, and the universe answered me and said, write the vision and make it plain. That's an instruction upon tables. Now, it's not your kitchen table. It's, you know, they were tables of stone, so you have to engrave it or get an engraver. But today you'd write it down. You'd write it down. There has to be a physical act that's linked to your body. So you could type it, but it's much more powerful to write it. And if you really want to rock, engrave it, but that could take some work, right? When you write it down, and it says here in the good book, it says, write the vision and make it plain. In other words, make it specific, very, very specific. Make it very clear. In other words, clarity. And then it says that he may run that readeth it. In other words, you're programming your unconscious mind. He may run. It doesn't mean you're going to run a marathon because you're learning French, right? It means that your unconscious mind can start to put it into action. Now, it's very deep. Yes, there may be some literal level. There may be some contextual level. There may be some historical level. There may be some localized level for the Jewish community that they're working within. But essentially, this is personal development. Now, I'm going to say something which some of you might find weird. Write your outcomes every day. I do it twice a day because there's studies which are shown, which are really interesting actually. Write your non-negotiable goals out every day and also carry them on laminated cards or whatever works for you. Now, I know some of you are digital babies. You love to put everything on your iPhone or your app or your, what are those other cheap phones called? Androids? No, sorry, do forgive me. You know, those Androids or whatever you're using, okay? Clearly an Apple guy, right? But, you know, that's fine. But there is a lot of power with physically writing it out. So, you know, you want to write them every day. What I do in the morning when I wake and I do my prayers and I get my mind all, you know, I'll do my, you know, washing, whatever I'm doing, okay? I literally sit on my table without email, without internet, and I write them out. Because when you write them, it's instructing your mind, your body, your spirit, your soul to move in the right direction. And it's a simple thing, you know, it doesn't take long, but it gets, yes, it can be, it's similar to affirmations, Adash, because what happens is as you write them, your mind starts to focus on them. But there's a very interesting study, I won't read it all out. This was in Forbes, and this is the conservative study. I mean, Google it all for yourself, but there's loads of studies from really good universities and with professors. And here, I mean, I'll just read a little bit out to you, okay? It says here, my goal is so vividly described in written form. In other words, he's made the vision very plain, including pictures, photos, drawings. So that could be a vision board. Again, this could be in your mind. It's very powerful, but I could literally show it to other people. This is so powerful, and they would know exactly what I'm trying to achieve. So this is from Forbes, and it's a university study. But, you know, you've got to be so clear that you could show the painting, the picture, the vision to somebody, and they say, wow, that is this. That's how clear you've got to be. And the clearer you are, the more you're programming your unconscious mind. Now, I actually believe this is very conservative, very, very conservative, you know? Yeah, absolutely, Barbara. You know, that makes sense. Blue is very, very good. Very, very good indeed. Okay. And they would know exactly what I'm trying to achieve. Sadly, fewer than 20% of people said that their goals were always written down as vividly, right? Vividly describing your goals in written form is strongly associated with goal success. And people who very vividly describe or picture their goals are anywhere from 1.2 to 1.4 times more likely to successfully accomplish their goals. That's a pretty big difference just from writing your goals on a piece of paper. Now, I actually believe that is a very conservative estimate. You know, I've seen studies where it's 3 or 4 times more powerful. And when you write it, there's something about writing on the paper with your physical hand. It links to your neurology. So this is like a ritual. Remember, we're beings of rituals and habits. And that's how we program, okay? So this is very, very, very key. Now, you've also got to have a productivity system. This is structure. The productivity system helps the recovery because now you've got the day one principle, you've got the outside accountability, you've got the goal writing, and then you've also got the flow productivity. You need a productivity system. I use flow. It's the simplest productivity system in the world. Now, I know a lot of you have gone through this, I've taught this. It's brilliant. It's brilliant. When people say to me, I don't have any time, I say to them, what does your productivity system look like? I can literally, in most cases, crush half the hours in your life down just by utilizing this flow productivity system. Now, we're going to go through it briefly because usually I teach this over an hour and time is ticking, okay? But, you know, I can go through this another day with you in detail. The key here is if you've got a productivity system that's working really well for you, you know, keep using it because it's what works. This is what works for me. I know Sonia uses it. I think Gunter uses it as well. And it really is a phenomenal system. The basics to this system is simple. Flow stands for first, last, other, win. Now, I love, you know, paper and pen. So if you know me, you know, I'm always carrying a clipboard around with me with a blank piece of paper on it. And the reason is there's something for me powerful about using pen and paper. What I do in the morning after I've written my goals and all of that stuff, what I then do is I take a blank piece of paper, okay? Blank piece of paper. And what I do is I write out everything that I've got to do for that day. Now I do this for the month, I do this for the week, and then I take those documents and I do it for the day, okay? So what I do is I write out everything I got to do for the day. So, you know, tomorrow I've got to send out the recordings of this program. I've got to, and I'm sort of cheating here a little bit, I've got to message Adash to tell him that Martin Godfrey wants to connect with him and wants his phone number and email, and he's like, okay, I've kind of done that now, so I'm cheating, right? But that was on the agenda tomorrow, and Adash is looking really happy about that, okay? I've got to, you know, move some Bitcoin, I've got to do da-da-da-da-da. And you can imagine, right, I've got about 30 things that I've got to do, maybe more tomorrow, right? I've got to, you know, do my Portuguese homework. I've got to, you know, ring Ritu and tell her how great she is, right? I've got to, you know, book my first Russian lesson with Ilva, okay, which will be in 2022. Okay, I've got, you know, to do my push-ups. I've got to go for a walk. I've got to, you know, ask darling daughter number 1 to make me a cup of tea. You know, I've got loads of things that I've got to do right in there, okay? So I'm going to write everything down. So basically I'm going to write the date here and I'm going to write everything I've got to do. everything I got to do. So I've got a list of things I got to do. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to use flow. Flow is great because flow is a priority system. It's a priority ordering system. So you've got first, which is F. You've got last, which is L. You've got O, which is other. And you've got win, which is W. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to look down that list and I'm going to find the win of the day. The win of the day. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to look down that list and I'm going to say, what is the one thing that if I only achieved one thing today, what would that be? And that's the win. And I'm going to put a W next to it. Then I'm going to go down the list, okay? And I am going to go last. So I'm going to say, what are the 3 things on this list that if they didn't get achieved today, it actually doesn't really matter? So I've got to post a letter to tomorrow. And I haven't posted a letter for years, right? It's like crazy. But I actually have to post a letter physically tomorrow. And if it doesn't really get done tomorrow, you know, I'll just do it the next day. So for me, that would be a last. I have to, you know, send an email to somebody tomorrow. I won't say the context, but again, that's a last thing for me. It's last. It's not really important, okay? It's just a last, okay? I've got to order my darling daughter number 1's Christmas present tomorrow, okay? I better not comment because I'll be punished later. But, you know, I'm going to choose 3 things that it doesn't really matter if I do them today or not. And they're going to be last. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the first. I'm going to choose 3 things. I've got my win of the day. I'm then going to choose 3 things that has to be done. So for me, it's my push-ups, it'll be my Portuguese, and it'll be some business related thing. Okay. Everything else goes into other. So now I've ordered all the activities of the day. Now, remember, I've done this for the month and I've done this for the week. So I'm going to line up the wins, you know, in that way. Okay. Now what I've got is I've got a priority list. So I'm going to write out the win of the day, then the firsts, which are going to be 3 items, then the others, which is everything except the 3 last things. And I'm going to start working on those in the priority or the schedule of the day. Now, the great thing about this is it orders your priorities. So at the end of the day, if I've got my win, that's all that counts. If I've got my win and my first 3, that's brilliant. If I'm chipping into my others, excellent. And if I don't get like 2 of my lasts, there's no guilt or shame or unfulfilling feeling at the end of the day because I can rope those into the others tomorrow or even the first or even a win, depending on my targets. Now, I kid you not, when I do this, and I do this 6 days a week, when I do this, okay, I literally get through my stuff. Sometimes you will not believe I can crush the other, the last, because sometimes the last are minuscule things. They're like, you know, send somebody a message, you know, send an email, you know, just check this account, whatever it is, right? They're minuscule things. So I just think sometimes I get these out of the way in 5 minutes. And then I go up to the other and I bang, 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 bang. This might be a scheduled call with an investor. It might be a scheduled call with a collaborator. It might be a sales call. It might be a coaching call. Okay. So I can sometimes get all of my day's work done in 3 hours in the morning. You know, it's very, very beautiful. Whereas I'm not always, if I don't do this, I'll be thinking, like, oh, damn, have I done it? Oh, man, I'm behind on this. So this is very, very key. So that's the basic of flow. I'll take questions in a moment, but with these pieces, day 1 strategy, accountability, the goal writing process, which we call Habakkuk, you call it what you want, and the flow productivity, you have recovery strategies. Do not ever think, okay? Do not ever think that the shit isn't going to hit the fan at some point. It will do. It will do. It absolutely will. You know, long-term outcomes take a lot. So you would be wise if you structure this in. Very, very wise indeed. Any questions before we move on the recovery side of things? If you want to open your mics, you can. It'd be nice to hear someone's voice. But if you want to ask in the chat, you may do. No? Yes? Everyone cool?
Hi, Matt. Sorry, me again, Adash.
Yes.
I keep on hogging in. Sorry about that.
It's good.
I
like it.
So with the system, the flow productivity, that's usually, well, it is all the stuff you predict, right? So you know what you need to do. I personally find, because currently working from home all the time with the 1-year-old around, my demand of my time sometimes gets picked away because of her or some other bits and, you know, family stuff, and it just catches you, and then half an hour gone. And how does one almost program that into this system? Because I love this system, and I've tried to use something similar, but I love it. How do I, or how does one try and, I don't know, implement that sort of subtle twist?
Yeah, it's a great question. Really great question. So when I first got my hands on this for a mentor of mine, that was kind of my concern. Okay. And actually what I found by using it for, I think I've been using it for like 3 or 4 years now. What I found is that it keeps me really focused, because I get a lot of demands on my time. And if I don't have my priority listing in place, it's very easy for people to grab my time. It's very easy for me to, you know, does anyone have this experience where you open your email and it's like, you just respond to emails that you don't even need to respond to? It's like, it's not a priority for the day. Why are you spending an hour of your time responding to all these emails when it's not your win, it's not your first, etc.? So I find it keeps me on track. Now, like all of our stuff, the 80-20 is really important. So you got a 1-year-old baby, okay? You know, I've got 3 kids. They were young at one point. But if you've got a 1-year-old baby, your 1-year-old baby, you know, it wants its milk, it wants its, you know, cuddle, it wants its nappy changing. I mean, you know, that is gonna be something that's gonna override certain things like this. And that just comes down to the management of care of your baby, right?
Yeah.
But what it means is, if you're like at 3 o'clock in the afternoon and you haven't got your win and you haven't got your first and you're not even making progress, because flexibility is key. You're not always going to get your win in one day, but you might chip away with 50% of it and cover the rest. But what it means is that if, you know, Ilva calls you up to sell you some Russian lessons, you're probably not going to take the call. Okay, unfortunately, right? However, if you banged all of this out by like 1 p.m. and Ilva rings you up, you know, that you may be able to take the call. Okay, so it pretty much keeps you on track, and it kind of creates a barrier so that you can utilize your time more. Essentially, you do have to utilize this with flexibility, because I've had times where I've had to reevaluate, you know, my win, and that's really comes into optimization. Because sometimes, you know, like say for example, we had a client meeting booked on Wednesday with some guys that want to invest in a friend's business. He's got a recruitment business, and this guy, you know, he's looking for 3 businesses to invest in. We've got him a Bollywood star, believe it or not, which he's dropped, I think, 32 grand on. We've got my friend's recruitment business, which he's dropping 32 grand on. And we've got someone else as well, which I won't mention. But, you know, he's cancelled Wednesday. So that is clearly not going to be the win for Wednesday, which in my week, that was the win on Wednesday to broker that deal for my friend. He's now coming in on Friday, 5 p.m. So, you know, flexibility is key. You know, if my win is that appointment to close it to the next stage, then, you know, if that's cancelled, you've got to you got to move up one of your first, or you got to reevaluate. Simple as that.
Yeah.
But what this does, Adash, really is it creates a guilt-free day, because a lot of entrepreneurs, a lot of people in business, they got too much work, and if it's not ordered, it's not going to get done. They don't always have control on what they can focus on, and then they end the day feeling, oh man, I haven't done my Portuguese again. It's always usually for entrepreneurs, business first, everything else last, right? And so what this does is it just creates, and now you've got your non-negotiables. So for me, oftentimes my win is doing my Portuguese, which most people wouldn't expect, you know, whereas before my win was money, 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 money. You know, that's all it's about. So at the end of the week, how balanced an individual was I? Because if I had a good week money-wise, I'm like very happy. If I haven't had a good week selling or whatever, I'm not feeling good. And guess what? My Portuguese hasn't improved. My press-ups haven't improved. My, you know, walking in the woods with my dog hasn't improved, etc., etc., etc. Does that help at all?
Yes, it's recalibrating something in my brain. So thank you. And sorry, guys, for hogging the mic. Sorry about that.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So that works really, really well. Okay. Let's talk a little bit about optimization. I don't want to keep you late today, because I know we've done a lot today. So we'll keep this bit very simple, which is the 7th pillar, and then we'll open for a few Q&A. We really wanted to deliver the demo today because I really did feel that that was needed. Look, the key to optimizing all of this is leadership development. You know, in business, leadership development is key. You know, everyone's focused on the outcome. But actually, if you focus on the journey, once you've created the outcome and you develop your leadership potential in that journey, okay, this really optimizes. Scaling the 7 pillars, you know, let's just go into the 7 pillars here, right? Scaling these. So, you know, state, how do you scale state, you ask? Well, practice, enjoy, you know, be curious with it, playful with it, adventurous with it in everything you do. You know, I do a bit of cooking every now and again. And I can cook, you know, Indian food, Italian, you know, Mexican, Chinese. I can cook all of that, okay? Now, this is crazy, right? But if I'm cooking Chinese, you know, once in a blue moon, I'll cook a Chinese dinner. And if I put the Chinese music on, you know, the instrumental Chinese music, the meditation, like Taoist sort of Tai Chi music on, yeah? I'm telling you, man, that Chinese is the best. But if I've got other music on, I'm not in the state of cooking Chinese. You know, when I'm cooking Italian food, I put the Pavarotti on, you know, the Italiano, maybe the Godfather music, pretty corny, right? But you get into state and you start to move in the state. You know, any task you're doing, you're going to go to mindset. So you've got to practice this almost like a martial art, like a piece of artwork. You know, this is a meditative work. I hope you understand what I mean by that. This is, you know, I approach state from a meditative aspect. There's so much more than achievement, masterclass in state. So much more. And that can't really be expressed. You've got to discover that in the journey yourself. Mindset, same thing. Clarity is actually an experience. Clarity, why we do clarity calls or strategy calls or discovery calls. I mean, it's to help you experience clarity, okay? It's very, very key. So in terms of the optimization of all of this, it's an experience. Bhangra music does it for me of all states, work and pleasure. So when you want to sell Ritu, there's an artist called Malkeet Singh, okay? Very nice. Look, he's gone already, right? You put it on, and then you'll enter the Punjabi mood, and you'll sell Ritu something. Maybe a couple of samosa. Apna Sangeet, yeah? You will sell, okay? You love that. Now, how do we sell Sonia? We've got to go Arab. Yeah, we do all that, you know, we'll do that. How do we sell Ilva? We go Russian. You're Russian. Very good. So, you know, these we experience. They're places of being. These are meditative. Clarity. It's a very, very, very powerful experience. Okay? Commitment. You know, we've got to practice this stuff to optimize it. Okay? These are practices. These are practices. They're very spiritual. I say they're very spiritual. Okay? And you've got to experience that, you know, for yourself. Okay? What I do want to talk about is mentoring and coaching. Okay? Now, whether you like it or not, mentoring and coaching, if you really are committed, they are like they are just the top end of it. Okay, so you can do this on your own, you can get accountability, but mentoring and coaching, you know, from someone that's been there, that's experienced it, this is very, very key. And if you want to go to the next level, become a protege. Protege is very, very powerful. You've got to find the right person. So I don't recommend knocking on doors. You know, there's a great saying, great principle that when the student is ready, the teacher shall arrive. Okay. So as you work on yourself, people will come into your life. It's happened to me. You know, we actually had a conversation this morning, so I think I mentioned earlier, with a guy that's the antique dealer for the richest man in India, Mr. Ambani. Okay, he owns the most expensive like property in the world, $1 billion, and he's crafting. We've actually got a deal for the Indian Grand Prix, which is going to be huge, like the IPL. Okay, so we're working on that, and you know, that comes from working on ourselves, you know, in business, international business, and then the right people start to come. Okay, and this is what happens. Sharpening the sword. The sword for me is the mind, the intention, and that has to be sharp. So it involves, you know, waking up in the morning, you know, working with your mind before you open your email, before you open your phone. You know, a lot of people run their life like this is their mind. It's not that important, this thing, you know. It's not very important. It's a tool. Not to run, people use this like Facebook. What does it say on Facebook when you go on there? What's on your mind? I mean, come on. Why do you want to tell Facebook what's on your mind? Okay. You know, you use your mind, sharpen the sword. Meditation, prayer, you know, spiritual practices, Wim Hof, very good, you know, for guys especially, you know, ice bath, you know, walking in the woods, all this stuff, you know, sharpen the sword, keep the sword sharp, the sword sharp. And then auditing. This for me is very important. The most important meetings you'll ever have in your life are with yourself. How many times do you meet with yourself? How many times do you audit yourself? How many times do you audit the voices that speak into your life? How many times do you audit the circle of friends you have? How many times do you audit where your energy is expended? How many times do you audit where you really are with your non-negotiables? So you're going to meet with yourself. I've given an example today of meeting with yourself in the morning. Ideally, if you can meet yourself 3 times a day to review, you know, it's all very well doing your plan in the morning, doing your flow system, but by 2 o'clock, if you've totally forgotten about it and you're doing something else, you know, that's because you haven't met with yourself. So the sharper you get on auditing everything, you know, you'll do this for your business, you know, you'll audit how much revenue is coming in, where you are with targets, what are expenses looking like, you know, what services and products are, you know, performing in terms of revenue in, what are not working. Spasibo. Okay. Yeah, Sharpen the Saw. Yeah, that was a good book, Steve Covey. I don't know if he's still alive, actually. But yeah, you know, that is a very timeless principle that Steve picked up. You know, it's not Steve's, but it's a very timeless principle, sharpening the sword. Very, very important. Okay. So what I want to do, because I want to respect your time, you know, it's a long session in the evening. I did say we'd finish at 9:15. You will all get a recording of this. You'll also get an email with, you know, one of my goals attached to it, so you can kind of start to form your outcomes. Okay, start to think about recovery and optimization. We will do a session on mindset as promised on the 5th of you know, January. Okay, we'll send you details on that, and then we'll have a check-in and review on, I think it's the 18th, but I'll send you that. You are entitled as a delegate to a coaching call, like 45-minute coaching call with me, I think it is. So you just write to me when you feel you're ready for that. I would say some of you might be ready for that now. I'll be around till the 16th. I'm gonna have some time out for myself, you know, between the 16th and probably the 3rd of January. So if you want to do something before, I've got one with Tom's who can't be here tonight on Wednesday. Some of you may be better doing that in January, but you let me know and we can fit those in for you. What I do want to open up for now is questions on anything we've done today, like on the last session, any other question you have about this process. I've got about 10 minutes. I'm not running anywhere, you know, so I can, yeah, absolutely, Lucy. Very excited to go through that with you. And, you know, I really appreciate Lucy. She does all my graphics. She's just fantastic. So always here for you, Lucy, genuinely. She's translating for me into Spanish tomorrow. So brilliant translator as well, if you need anything in the Spanish world. What happens in the one-to-one coaching session? So what we do in the one-to-one coaching session generally is help you create well-formed outcomes. Okay, but we can go anywhere. So for instance, Tom's on Wednesday, he wants to work on state. So I'm going to work with him on state. So it's really what you want. That's what we do on that one-to-one. And it's focused on this, on the achievement side of things. Okay. Again, I think it's 45 minutes. Can't remember what I said, but you know, I don't run a sand timer. So if we go over, we go over. Some of you work really fast. So, you know, absolutely, Tina. So we can sometimes, you know, crush it down. It's more about the result than the time spent. So any questions to sort of anything we've done so far? Is everything making sense? Sonia's in state. So when you're in state, everything does make sense. She's really in state. But, any questions from anyone? I'm sure there are questions because I know Liga and Ilva, Tahira, Barbara, you know, they weren't here on the Monday call. So they may have questions. They may be really clear. Any all clear? Thank you, Joanna. Great to have you with us. We'll send out recordings tomorrow. Just while we're waiting for questions, on Thursday, there's stuff to do with the Achievement Masterclass. Adar Shah, what could we do to really optimize? Great question, the one-to-one. Really good question. You know, with you, Adarsh, I'd like to really get you very specific and create well-formed outcomes for your free non-negotiables. I think that'd be pretty cool. And I definitely like to remove maybe some of the unconscious patterning within those non-negotiables to really accelerate you really, really fast. So I think we could do an intervention. So yeah, on the one-to-ones, great question, Dash, thank you for that. We can do interventions, whether it be timeline therapy, whether it be kind of meta model auditing, I've got hundreds of tools that I can use on interventions that work really fast, and they work with the unconscious mind, so they don't have to be context related. We can just drill in and deal with it. So this is what we do with our private kind of clients. If somebody's in business and they want to do a sales thing, I'm up for it. I'll do sales all day long. If you want to kind of, get wired for sales, bringing in revenue, whatever you want. The key for this program is we want you to have the biggest year of your life so far. We want you to really crush it in 2021. So wherever you want to go, we will go, not an issue. And that's why I wanted a small group, because obviously we've got 13 people on this call. We've got Tom's as well. So we've got about 17 people to serve. So, that's obviously 17 hours, but, we really wanted to serve you and make sure that you are looked after for 2021. Okay. And you understand specifically what's required and what you're going to be creating. Okay. So we can go through, the workbook. Absolutely, Tina. Okay. So questions. We've got like 10 minutes essentially. Let's have some questions on anything you want. Questions?
Can I ask one, Matt, please?
Hi, Richard. How are you?
I'm great, thank you.
Great.
Yeah, thank you for the whole of it. It was fantastic. Talk about getting in state.
Are you in state?
I believe so. Yes, definitely.
We'll have the Punjabi Bhangra on for you.
Definitely. That gets me. That does get me.
Goes. Look at that.
Yeah, that's it. The boost it gives.
Oh yeah.
I don't know. It's got something to do with inherent. Wherever I come from.
We'll get it on.
Definitely. Jazzy B, by the way, normal Keith Singh.
Jazzy B. Oh, she's a modern lady. She's not old school.
Right. We'll
get Dr. Zeus on.
That he's good as well.
See how we're keeping her in state.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. Thank you so much. So question, I have this, when you talk about optimization, we talk about sharpening the sword.
Yes.
I understand where meditation comes in, and of course that brings you together, grounds you, etc. And big deal, helps greatly.
Yeah.
Especially if you're in a leadership position as well.
Yes.
My question is a bit off track to business, but I think it is still related. So, when we are working on our spirituality, okay, meditation is great, and yes, you understand it. How so much you understand it? I believe we're all learning, gradually improving. Apart from that, if you wanted to grow your sphere wider and bring your work into that, and take your spirituality into your work, both ways. Is there a way to enhance that practice? Step up a bit?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, it's a big question, right? And it's a beautiful question. I really appreciate you bringing it.
Thank you so much.
A lot of it is going to be kind of delved into in the mindset piece, okay? But I do want to give you an answer today without going into a 3-hour kind of thing, because we could spend all night talking about that, okay? Which some people might be up for. I'd be up for it if I had a cup of tea, but there you go. Your voice has gone, Ritu.
I said I'm up for it as well, but I understand you don't have a cup of tea.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, to give you the real answer is, let's not get bowed down into the semantics of the language so much, okay? Because it's quite interchangeable, and different things like consciousness mean different things to different people, okay? But if you think about the physical world we live in, it's really a reflection or a mirror of the metaphysical world. And then the metaphysical world could be seen. Again, there are different models, and all those models are great because all those models are elements, or they're sides of something which can't be spoken of, essentially. It's that deep, right? So the metaphysical world is really a reflection of the spiritual world. And then the spiritual world is really a gateway to something else. Now, all of these worlds exist in you. So really, we define the physical world by boundaries. So for example, you're in Birmingham, Walsall. I'm in Bedford. Okay, Sonia's in Playa de Mallorca. Okay. You know, Barbara's in Chicago. Tahira's in London. Lucy's in Suffolk. You know, but essentially these are all destinations, locations which have boundaries and, you know, space between them. In the spiritual world, in the metaphysical world, most people's understanding is there's no time or space. There's just timelessness. So I think in Vedic sources, they talk about Sanatan Dharma. Timeless, you know, it's timeless. So when we step out of time, when we step out of space, when we step out of, you know, physical reality, essentially, and for those Christians here, you know, it's very biblical. I can teach this from the Bible as well. No issues at all. Okay, I can really deal with it in the Bible. For example, in the Old Testament, when Abraham, who's the father of faith, both for the Jews, both for the Christians, both for the Muslims, when he met Melchizedek, the Bible says that Melchizedek had no beginning or ending of days. In other words, he had a meeting with a timeless being in the Old Testament, and he paid him an offering, which was 10%, which is basically a symbol of bringing the unlimited into the limited world by sowing into that principle. Well, it's a long thing that we could teach. But essentially, we're moving beyond time and space. So when we fully understand this, when we fully align with this, we realize that actually physical manifestation is in our mind. So for example, if you want to increase your sphere, actually the fastest way to do that is meditation. Because what you're doing is you're creating within your mind, within your being. So for example, when I was on the sales floors for many, many years, right? I had no salary, only commissions. And what I used to do was I used to visualize the clients I wanted. I used to visualize, and those people will show up like exactly. And I always be surprised when they show up. I go, wow. And that's the picture I keep seeing, you know, for many, many years. So what's happening is the mind is bringing this timeless manifestation into place. So for example, if you want to bring your work, your spiritual work into your business, you have to see it. You have to feel it. You have to visualize it. You have to program your timeline. You have to get into alignment into it. Now, because of my background, I've had a lot of issues with Christians that have said to me, no, this is wrong, this is wrong, this is wrong. So actually, I've been 7 years in the seminary before, a long time ago, where we learned this very challenging experience. And, you know, we basically, yeah, exactly, Barbara. And it says he was the king of Salem, which is king of Jerusalem, which is eternal city. But essentially, right, going back, you see, biblically speaking, we are creators. You know, Adam, who was a symbol of the first man, was a creator. He was given dominion, but he gave up his power, his dominion. So we are creators. So this part is the creative mind. So whatever you want to create, you have the power internally to create it. And the way of creating it is to tap into this kind of broader knowledge. You know, in India, it'd be called Sanatan Dharma. You know, it's this broader, timeless knowledge to create. So everything starts in the mind. So I'll give an example, Ritu. everything in your life, good, bad, ugly, brilliant, not so good, needs changing, whatever, has evolved at some level from your thinking. Now, you might say, no, I don't believe, my front garden path was in my thinking. Well, in your unconscious thinking, you might not be conscious of it. So now, using this kind of formula, you can start to program your unconscious. Like Adash had, one of his fulfillment criteria, one of his values was don't be lazy. Now, that's in his unconscious, which is basically commanding him to be lazy.
Right.
So we have to program that now. It's already pretty much done on the call because we've uncovered it, but we can actually program that in. So we are creators in that essence. And for Christians, because there's a couple of Christians that will listen to the recording, the Lord Jesus Christ in the New Testament, he said, greater work shall you do than even he did. But people don't catch it. So that's why I have to retrain them. We have to retrain their minds. So, we have a lot of power within. We're like beings that have a Swiss bank account with like a couple of $1 billion in, but we don't know, the sort code or something ridiculous. And so we have to find the sort code. So in essence, the clearer you are, the more specific you are, the more your whole being and your whole body and your whole assets, your soul, your spirit, your intentions, your mind is involved and aligned. And the more you relax into the process. So the relaxation is, yeah, you're right, Adash, limitless. The relaxation is actually the gateway in. The more you relax into it, you're aligning with your real being. So this is why the Tai Chi Chuan, the internal martial arts are very good. The meditation is very good. The relaxation is very good, because then your mind is flowing in. And it really comes down to your belief, your certainty in all of that. And that's a process in itself. But I guarantee you, if you start focusing your mind, thanks, Barbara, really, really appreciate you. If you start focusing your mind and you start to do this in a meditative way. Yeah. Okay. So I'll give you another example if you're okay with it.
Please.
In martial arts, I used to go to these dojos, okay? And I've trained with very, very high level people. And basically you go into these dojos and these guys are psychopaths, some of them. They're trying to kill you. I mean, I'm a big guy, and some of these guys are like half my size, and they throw you around, and you can ask my wife. I used to come home like with my shirt just drenched, like 5-hour sessions, and they just basically, they beat the hell out of you for years. They just beat you up. Now, people might go, that sounds a bit medieval. No, you try being calm when someone's trying to rip your head off. That is a real test of whether you got it or not. So the idea of the martial arts is that, softness, stillness beats brute force. That's the whole thing of Tai Chi Chuan. So we were tested. If someone's trying to rip your head off and you've got to be calm and step to the side. It's not that easy to do, but when you do it, I can tell you something, he goes flying into the bloody wall and the wall's just beating him up for you. Yeah. This is the test. Everyone can do the classroom stuff, but in real life, when you're trying to sell the deal and the client, business is tough. I don't know where some of you guys live, but you come to London and you go into a boardroom and you're asking for money, they will rip your head off. I mean, it is rough. Dash is not in his head. I mean, that's where we grew up in business, in the city of London. And those posh people, I tell you, they're the worst. They will rip your head off and they will serve it up on a platter. So you've got to be good and you've got to be calm. You've got to be collected. And so this is all a test of how you do stuff, Does that help, Ritu?
It does, definitely. And I do agree with everything you have said, Matt. And I think, I watched a film last night, called Cloud Atlas. It's on Amazon. And if you've not watched it, this is something I think
I've never heard of it. No.
everybody should. It's a 2013 movie, Cloud Atlas.
Cloud
And
Atlas.
yeah, and it talks about, you know, exactly what you've said. And I was very intrigued by the film as well. That our crime and our kindness births our future, something along the lines.
Okay. Sure.
And it's back and forth with different lives, and you know. I have another question, if that's okay.
Yeah, please.
As an extension.
Too late, but just.
Yeah.
Sure.
So you know how some people will tell you. Of course, I understand. You know, there's got to be clarity, and you've had to have smart goals, achievable, time, you know, measurable, etc. But when you come to this understanding, and it's a very hypothetical concept, of course, because we can't prove it, right? But let's say if you come to an understanding and believing it, that eventually the purpose of this life or any life that we will have on this earth is to contribute towards the upliftment of the soul. I might be going totally off track. I'm sorry if it is.
Good.
So, you know, once you get to start believing that, and of course you still have goals, you still have a purpose, you're still driven by the purpose, you're still enthusiastic, get into state when you listen to Bhangra and the rest of it. Then I believe, it's not a question basically, then I believe, you know, what you've been saying repeatedly over the call, that it's the journey. It's the journey, it's not the destination that we're looking at.
Liga. Yeah, sure. I'm listening.
So there, I've started to believe there is no destination, if anything. It is just a journey.
Yeah, well, it's not Solihull, but, you know, for I use a bit of humour there. You know, there's different models of the world, okay? And there's different levels, and there's different understandings. By Sonia, there's different, you know, versions, and that's absolutely fine. And really in coaching and in achievement, we're not so much talking about eternal truth. We're more talking about the journey to achieving, which could even be described as fulfillment. Because again, even in achievement, there's different versions of that. My personal view, and again, please do not let me infringe my personal view on anyone, because I'm actually really interested in your personal view, okay? With our kind of private clients, you're all private clients, but you know, when we've got a client and they've paid us and we're doing like days of this stuff, because this is just like a demo on one aspect, right? What we do, the first thing we do is we elicit their purpose. And that takes maybe, by Joanna, that takes maybe like 3 hours. So I've got a whole elicitation process where we work out your purpose. Because the danger of doing lifetime goals, if you don't know your purpose, is you can create all your goals and then they're not in alignment with your actual purpose of why you're here on earth. With the 3 non-negotiables, these are just year goals, so they're not life goals. This is just to help you guys for next year, right? But if we're really working, what we're doing is we're listing your purpose first of all. And when people find their purpose in those 90 minutes or 3 hours or even 4 hours, depends on the person, right? We've got a very detailed process where we do the numerology. And when I do your numerology, people just go, wow. I mean, Sonia's gone, but we did Sonia's numerology and it's like, it doesn't, you know, you don't mess with it. It's like your purpose is in your numerology. We've got the whole purpose elicitation. And then you know why you're here. Now that just gives you a whole upgrade on your personality, on your strength of identity, on everything when we do that. And then we create goals that align to the purpose. Because one thing I know, you can create goals and you can achieve goals. But it's whether you're fulfilled at the end of it. Because I've done some things in my life where I've put everything into it, I've achieved, and everyone's gone, great one, Matt. And I've gone, actually, I feel like a bag of shit. You know, sorry to use such a horrible phrase, but because it didn't fulfill. And there's nothing worse than spending 3 years working your brains out on something, putting all your energy into it, and then you get there and you go, is that it? I mean,
Yeah. So I'd say that the goals are also evolving as you evolve. Even the purpose, would not be the same for forever.
Exactly. Now, my personal belief, and let me not infringe it. Thank you for bringing me back, Rita. You're a great coach, aren't you? You really are. You know you are. You're the Bhangra coach, right? And you always got to bring it back to state. I could sell you so much right now, Rita. It's unbelievable. So here's the thing. My personal belief, and it is personal, is that everybody's purpose at a higher level is about contribution. And when you align with your specific place of contribution to the planet, to humanity, to the greater good, okay, when you do that at a high level place, in alignment with your purpose, everything comes to you really, really quick. That's my personal one. That's not, again, we're not dealing with eternal truth. That's my personal experience. There may be people on this call that are much higher up and may have a very different view. Doesn't mean that I'm wrong or you're right. We're not talking about a duality here. We're talking about experiences in possibility, okay? But what I've noticed is that at a higher level, when your purpose creates powerful win-wins at one level, stuff just starts coming to you like crazy. I'll give you an example. I'll give you two examples, right? So we've been doing charity work in India, in the slums in Mumbai for over 25 years. And the deals I'm getting and the stuff that's coming through, we've got the brother-in-law of the defense minister now is giving us deals. These are powerful people. They can boom and stuff goes off, I was saying to Tina the other day, been doing some work with Tina, who's from Nigeria. And, she hasn't put any deals on my table yet. I'm still quite surprised on that, but hint, Tina. But we're getting lots of stuff from Nigeria. And it's because the law of reciprocation, sowing and reaping, it never fails you. It might take a few years, right? That's where people give up. But where I know one thing, people that feed the homeless, your kids are never going to go hungry. I'm telling you that now. It's just there. You can't, it works every single time. If you do not have money right now, if you're suffering with low income, go and buy someone a sandwich who's sleeping under a bloody bridge. It's a powerful thing to do, okay? So, that's what I personally believe. Now, at the same time, you've got to, what's the word? You've got to move your energy in all of your purpose.
Yeah.
So what happens is some people realize, okay, the contribution side of things, and then they just go all out on contribution. But you've got to come from a place where your cup is full. So I see a lot of people who are very good-hearted and they're just like sowing into here and sowing into there and giving. I've been guilty of this. I used to really give my time away like crazy. Any Tom, Dick and Harry will ring me and I just like answer the phone and go, yeah, how are you doing? And then they'll say, oh, I've got this problem. And I'm just on the problem. Many years ago, I was like this. I was the worst person ever. I had no boundaries. I was just like giving, and then realizing nothing's actually coming back. Obviously the law of reciprocation works, but the universe, the almighty, the source wanted to teach me to respect my own time. Because ultimately, yeah, absolutely, Adash, same here. Ultimately, if I can't respect my time, I can't respect the being that's given me time. I can't respect your time because I'm not in integrity. If I'm going to respect you, Ritu, and your time, I have to first respect my time. Yeah. And so again, there has to be integrity. That's another law of integrity. So there must be balance as well. You'll never get perfect balance, but there must be, I could be money, and then my health's gone. Yeah. Or I could be health, and then the gas bill's here, and it's like, wow, I thought I was manifesting all this energy, Well, sorry, British Gas is asking you for, your bill. So there has to be, and in a way, money is a great, it's a lovely thing, you know. True spiritual people are millionaires in this climate. True spiritual people are wealthy because they don't see it even as, you know, I don't know, they're just, some of the most spiritual people I know, they're multi-millionaires. Because money is actually very spiritual. Because what is money? Money really is a measure of value. Money is a measure of value. It's very, very incredible. Very, very incredible. And it doesn't mean that if you have presently a lack of money that you're not valuable. Of course you are. But money is a representation of you expressing your value in the marketplace. Whether you're in a job or whether you're in a business or whatever. I didn't understand that for years. And then one day, a guy that I know who's very big in precious metals, he sat me down and he explained it to me, and it just dropped, the penny dropped. But again, you know, these are my experiences, my beliefs. You know, there's no reason why anyone needs to sign up to it, but it's definitely something to think about, I think, you know. So yeah, everything starts in the mind. You know, I'm not a great fan of Napoleon Hill because he was a wife beater. He died broke, and I can't stand people who hit women. You know, I want to really punish him personally. But he was arrested many times for beating women. So it's quite sad to see everyone going on about Think and Grow Rich and Napoleon Hill, who never had any money, died like a fraudster. But, you know, there are some good things in that book that he's gleaned from other sources. And one of them was, you know, that everything starts in your mind, which is pretty true. Pretty true. Tina Ayula, I never thought of it. The church I used to go to taught us, yeah, a lot of places of religion do that, unfortunately. But I believe our place is abundance. The universe is abundant. You know, nature is abundant. We are abundant beings. That's why we feel uncomfortable if we don't have the things that we want and need. You know, so I think that's true. And but you know, the truth is, if you don't have health, if you don't have time, if you don't have resources, if you don't have skills, if you don't have drive, if you don't have passion, you can't help anyone. Reality. You need those things to help at a decent scale. So yeah, does that help, Ritu? Yeah, exactly. Only to give back and never to ask. You know, which I think is changing in a lot of places.
Yeah, I mean, thankfully, gradually it is changing, and people are kind of becoming more aware. But like Tina mentions the church, we as well, when we were any sort of religious teaching, you were encouraged to give. But nobody said that it's your right to ask as well. Obviously, you don't ask of people, you ask of God or whatever power you believe in, etc. But we were never taught. And that was that. But it does help, Matt. Thank you so much. It does help at more than one levels, definitely. Thank you so much.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it. So thank you, Ritu, for all of the questions. I love questions. We'll probably do a quick Q&A session at some point. But yeah, goodbye, Ilva, if you've already gone. I know we've gone over, but we had questions. It's important to answer those questions. So work on your outcomes. Think about your coaching calls. We'll do the mindset as a 90-minute program in January the 5th. The mindset, I may even bring Martin on. We may leave him for a wealth talk, but because he's got a very good mindset system as well that he taught me years ago. And he's a grandmaster in several Chinese systems. So he's really sharpened his mind. I mean, you know, he punched me through his garden fence once, and I'm a lot bigger than he is. He literally just went, and I went right through, broke his fence, ended up on the patio of his, it's on video somewhere, about 10 years ago, on the patio of his next door neighbor. So that guy's got some cheap power, you know, he's got some good stuff. He can actually hit you. He can hit you in your heart and you'll feel it in your kidneys, stuff like that, crazy stuff. You know, he's really mastered the mind, and it's helped him a lot in business. That's why I look up to him. On Thursday, I'm going to be going through my top 12 coins for 2021. It's not all about Mind Capital. We all know about the 2 Mind Capital coins, which are brilliant. So fill your boots, but it's about other coins as well that are in the market and I think you should know about. I'm going to give you a little strategy for those that want it. So do come to that. And yeah, let's crack on with creating these non-negotiables. Very important. And if anyone needs any help or support, just let me know. Is that okay? Good. Take care. Good evening. I may finally get a cup of tea. You never know. Could be a good one. Oh, sorry, Tina. You got a quick one? Sure. Let's take that for you. Did you want to? How many non-negotiables can we have? As many as you want. So the key thing is, it's kind of as many as you can handle. So if you've got 21 non-negotiables, right? They're probably subsets of goals. So within, business goal, you might have 10 parts of that business goal. Really, human beings are very good at handling 3s and 5s. So if you haven't done this before, I would design 3 and maybe have another 2 that are on the back burner. So you've got 3 and 5. There's no reason why you can't have 9, but it's really what you can handle, first of all. And the trick really is to kind of put the goals into subsets of bigger goals. So in my Portuguese, for example, there are probably 6 or 7 different goals, but one big outcome. And that outcome is measured by the 6 or 7 goals, which kind of, fulfill the criteria. Okay. So I personally would recommend you start with 3. And, don't just do 3 in one area. You want to do 3 in I think it's really important to have a money business goal, a health goal, and then something other. And then if you want to add another 2, add another 2. Okay, I'm going to get out of here. Thank you for attending, and hopefully see some of you tomorrow on the Mind Capital 1:30, where the wonderful Lucy will be translating us in the Spanish language. And we'll give some updates and good stuff on that. Very good news in all things. Some of you are going to become very wealthy. And on Thursday, we'll do the wealth talk. Good. Have a good evening. And get Dr. Zeus on, somewhere. If you've got a dol or dolki, then get it out. Have a good old dance, And think of something to sell, Ritu. We've got to sell you something. What can we sell you? What can we sell you? I just want to sell. You see, when I get high, when I get buzzed, pumped in state, I want to sell. I want to make money. I just want to sell something. Lucy, what do you want to buy? Do you want to buy something? Oh, you want to buy? What do you want to buy, Adas? Hey, this is a nice conversation. What do you want to buy, man? I want to buy contacts. I got contacts for you. Who do you want? Who do you want? And Barney's a bit expensive at the moment, dude. Who do you want? Chief Minister of Punjab. Yeah, we're getting.
I tell you what, I've got a great story. So for those of you who don't know, I went to boarding school in India. So I was born here. I was sent to boarding school in India, in Gujarat. And when I went to boarding